you guys had a good break, but now it's time to get back to work. Okay, parallel lines. What are those?
Lines that are side by side but will never touch.
We'll say lines
Someone's smarter. And he didn't give me time to think.
that are in the same plane that never intersect. The best way that I can describe parallel lines, or the way I'd like to think of them is, look at the end of this ruler. It represents, this right here represents a line, does it not? Would everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of changing the shape of the line as I move this around, aren't I?
Yes.
You see what I mean? It's kind of facing the same way. Well, in essence, this piece of paper I'm writing on is a plane. Isn't it? A two-dimensional little sheet, it has no depth. Okay, so basically when you draw two parallel lines, don't they kind of have to be facing the exact same way or shaped the exact same way, because then they don't angle towards each other?
Yeah.
Would you agree? Call this line L, we'll call this line M. What we say here is that line L is parallel to line M. That's the sign for parallel. See how I made it bigger than the letters so it doesn't look like a 1 and a 1, right?
Yep.
Line L is parallel to line M. Well, how we label that on a picture is we will put an arrow inside like that. This denotes that this line is parallel to any other line that just has one arrow. Okay? That's parallel lines. The other thing to talk about is what's called a skew line. This is something that when it's all said and done, you won't deal with very much, but it's a type of question that you'll have on a ACT test or an end of instruction test that just see if you remembered what they were. And in essence, these are lines in, and this is the key word here, different planes that never intersect. And everybody always has a little problem with this because they have problems recognizing, well, how do you tell the difference between a skew line and a parallel line? And this is how. They have to be shaped or facing or angled the exact same way to be parallel. If they're not but never intersect, then they're not. And what's tough is I try to draw, if they're in different planes, then we're talking in 3 dimensions. If I were to draw, let's call this line N, okay? When it's all said and done, it, in essence, is impossible for me to draw a skew line on this plane, or on this piece of paper. Because what is the piece of paper? How many dimensions?
1.
2. It is one plane, 2 dimensions, right? So how could I draw something in a different plane on here? Does that make sense? A skew line is basically one that's shaped different. That basically comes into this plane for a split second and then what? Goes out. Can you visualize a line coming right here? Boom, it intersects that plane, then it goes out of the plane. It's never going to touch that one, is it? But it's sure not shaped the same way, is it either? Does that make sense? Now, here's the thing. I can also draw a line parallel to this in 3 dimensions. See how these are shaped the same? If I was to back this up like this, these are actually parallel. Now, why? Because could I draw a plane that would have both of those in it? Because they're on the same, what's called cross section, right? See, these two are actually parallel. But if I draw a line like this, it never touches it. See, skew lines are shaped differently, okay, but never touch it. Okay, Okay, now, how do you draw that on a piece of paper? Well, you'll see them, you could draw it like this, then make dots to kind of say that that's behind it. You see what I'm saying? See how that comes in, it hits this spot, and then it goes back behind it and never touches it. Probably the easiest way to draw skew lines, or an example of skew lines, is to draw a three-dimensional figure. And here's the thing, when it's all said and done, also I am drawing a three-dimensional figure on what kind of space? Two-dimensional space. Right? The dotted lines represent things that I can only see looking through it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Let's label this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I want you to name me some parallel lines and some skew lines. From this picture. This is easy for some people, very hard for some. Some are more visual than others. Okay? This isn't that hard for me because I can see things visually, but at the same time, for people who have problems, visualizing this as basically in a book. Isn't a book the same type of shape? Would you guys agree? So, for this book that I'm holding up right now, this would maybe be AB, wouldn't it? Would you guys agree? Do you see how AB and this would be HE, right? Does everyone agree? Everyone look at my fingers. Okay. This is AB. Would everyone agree? So I'm holding it like this. This is HE. Agreed? Do you see how AB and HE never touch? But are they shaped the same way? No, there's no way these two could ever be in the same plane. Because this one goes this way and this one goes this way, right? I couldn't put a piece of paper and make all of this line be all with all of this line, could I? They're skew lines. Okay? Because they never touch and they can't be in the same plane. However, this is what? AB. This is DC, right? Do you see how they're on the same face? What are they, parallel or are they skewed? They're parallel because they face the same way. They're shaped the same way. Agreed? Now here's what might confuse you. What about AB and EF? Okay, AB's right here, right? EF is this bottom one right here. Now are they faced kind of the same way and shaped? Would you agree?
Yes.
Because you could kind of draw that cross section. You could draw a piece of paper from here to there, and they'd be in the same. So they're actually parallel, aren't they? Makes sense? But right here, let's see, this is BC, EF. EF will never touch BC, will it? But they're not shaped the same way, are they? So they're what? Skewed. Does that help a little at all? See the difference between skew and, okay, it's tough, like I said, some people you see it, you get, once you see it, you get it. But it can be tough. So with that in mind, examples of parallel lines, let's see, we said AB and what? DC? Right? We said those were parallel. And we also said that AB, and then we did the cross section right through here, and what? EF were parallel. Now, are there a lot more? You better believe it, there's a lot more. AB is also parallel to what? HG. And then skew lines, we talked about AB and what did I say, HE? Talked about here and here, how they'll never touch because this is above it, right? And I think we also talked about DC and GF. You could also think about up and down. What about DC and BG? That may be one of the tougher ones to see, but BG, is this in front of DC? This is BG, isn't it? This is DC back here. This is going straight up and down. Is this ever going to touch this one? But they can't be in the same plane, can they? So they're what? Skewed. Okay. Let's look at that paper I handed out to everyone. Let's try to answer a couple questions on it. Describe where the pair of segments of the prism are parallel, skew, or intersecting. AF. Okay, so we're talking about AF. And what? BF. That one's pretty obvious because what letters in both of them?
F.
So they intersect at what?
F.
So they intersect. Trace my pencil mark there so we can mark the two we're talking about again. AE and FD.
Parallel.
They're faced the same way, and so they're parallel, aren't they? I mean, how hard is it for me to just draw a line and then erase it right quick? That's pretty easy, huh? You'd be amazed that if you'll do little things like that, how much easier sometimes geometry can be. AB, it's this one right here, right? And FD.
Skew.
They're never going to touch, are they? But they're not, can't be in the same plane, so they're skewed. BC. BC and AE. Parallel. It's not so bad, is it?
Yeah.
Well, what am I going to require you to do for this assignment? Write that, then write that. Your assignment should look just like this. Okay? It's that simple. I want to see a nice picture, big picture. Well, watch how fast I can draw that picture. Wow, that took forever. That took forever. Guess what? You did that for what? 6 problems already? Now all you gotta do is write a whole AF with a line over it and BF. Really, how much am I really asking of you? Not very much. Now, if you're obsessive compulsive and this has to be the perfect picture, that's fine. I mean, that's who you are, but I mean, you know, please don't kill yourself unless you just can't do it any other way. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be legible. You need to be able to use it as a tool to see what goes to what. Anyhow, EC, BF.
Intersecting.
Now think about this. This is in the front, this is in the back. Are they ever going to touch?
No.
No, on 2 dimensions, yeah, they look like they touch down here, right? But when you get to this point, this line's going to be behind this one, isn't it? Everyone agree? So they are skewed. And you know what? I want to commend her as she did a great job making a mistake right there, because even though half of you won't admit it, because she made that mistake and talked up, we were able to talk about maybe that explained to someone who didn't understand why those are skewed. Thank you. Did a great job. I hate when people think they have to say the right answer in a class discussion. No, it's good to say the wrong answer sometimes, as long as you're not doing it to be funny. Because that can confuse people sometimes when you're just saying goofy stuff, because it's too much. BF and AB intersect. Okay? 6 planes. All you gotta do is say 3 points on the, non-clear points on the plane. So we gotta talk about the top here, right?
Yep.
What would the top be? H, G, N? Is that or H, G, M? Is that the only way you could name that? Of course not. Okay, I've done the top. Now we'll do the what?
Bottom.
Bottom? Okay. How can I label it?
J-O-K.
J-O-K, that'll work. I've done top and bottom. Now do what?
Stop.
Back? Alright, back. The back would be what? H, H-J-L? Okay. Now we did the back, now we need to do the what? Front? Oh, I thought you guys would say front. G-M-K is the front. Now I've done front, back, top, bottom, now's what's left?
Sides.
Left and right. So left would be what? H-G-I maybe? And how do you guys, have we done that? Now how do you want to name the right?
N-L-K.
N-L-K? Very good. So is this hard?
No.
No, but it's gonna take you, you know, it's not like I'm giving you 20 problems with 3 plus 4, 2 plus 1, you know, you're not gonna get the answer in a split second. You're gonna have to take the time to slowly look at it, trace things out either with your hand, with your mind, you know, and actually look at it. Don't be hasty. Okay, take your time. All segments parallel to GI. Okay, they have to, so it needs to be a straight up and down the same way, doesn't it? An edge that faces the same way. All these edges that don't face the same way won't work. So what's one edge? H what?
M-K. Oh, H-J.
HJ?
MK.
M-K.
MK? Can anybody?
NL. I think NL, yeah, NL.
N and L. Good. That's the hard one to see, the cross section. Like you cut it in half, right? And that's all of them, isn't it? Because all the rest of them are facing different ways, aren't they? They're shaped. I know it's maybe not the most, it's not the probably correct way to say a line is shaped, but isn't that what slope does, is kind of just say how it's shaped, how it's angled, you know? I think we can do this, can we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any other questions? I mean, I don't mind doing a few more problems if we're having problems with it. If not, I want to give you time